Then there's that 3%, those Luddites like my next guest, who apparently aren't buying into this. I'm talking about my friend Joe Bastardi, the Weather Bell chief forecaster, one of the best and more accurate reads of things that are going on up there than anyone I know. Joe, you're part of the 3%. How do you feel?
Well, first of all, it's much greater than 3%. Most practicing meteorologists, and let me explain what I do for a living. I make forecast a product of an idea, not get paid for the idea, but the product. I have to be right to be paid. People fire me if I'm wrong. Because of that,
it hasn't hurt my career, but go ahead. That's a pretty nice concept there. Yeah.
You do 100 hours of research for an hour of forecasting, and what I do. Part of the essential research is understanding what drives the weather and where the weather has been to know where the weather's going to go.
Your numbers quibble with what the president's numbers are. Where do you differentiate?
Well, wait a minute. We're talking scientists. We could have biologists. We could have astronomers. We could have all these guys who do not make a living actually having to put their forecast on the line. That's the first thing. So I need to know the climate. I need to understand where we were, what patterns drove the weather before. As far as the president alluding to this global warming, there's been no warming for 17 years. It's actually turning down. I'll tell you what I believe this is. I believe that this is there's an assault on the economic lifeline of this country, which is so far has been fossil fuels, and it's based on an illusion that isn't there. It's an agenda-driven illusion.
So let me ask you, Joe, I'm sorry to jump on you there, my friend, but when the president talks about the last dozen years or so being among the warmest on record, is he right?
No, not against the historical data.
Okay.
If we look at all the weather stations we have now that were here back in the 1930s, it's not. What happens is we've been measuring the temperature by satellite since 1978. We were never measuring it then. In addition, we've thrown in many more weather stations. We have a lot more urban buildup. Anthony Watts has done a big research project on that. Over 90% of the NOAA weather stations don't even meet the optimum standard for actually recording temperatures. My point is this, that we're in a cyclical pattern. We're in the 1950s. I've made this point a bunch of times. And what is going on here is these people are using the fact that people do not know what's going on or don't know the past to try to get their agenda out about a future. Now, I want to ask you this, Neil. We'll end with me asking you something. Do you think that this was brought up now for a different reason, maybe to distract people? We start arguing about this stuff again because of some of the other things going on. Maybe you should opine about that.
Well, maybe you should just answer the questions and not ask them. But no, I just noticed it's hot outside, Joe. But no, good points taken, one and all.
Guess what, Neil? It's 90 in New York. It's going to be in the 70s Thursday and Friday. It's cooling down across much of the country.
And by the way, it's summer.
It gets hot.
It's summer.
Yeah.
Joseph, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you very much. Joe Bastardi making his final appearance with us. We always have enjoyed our prior chats. In the meantime,